A very good afternoon to all of you joining today's Africam show. It's Tuesday afternoon. It's 4 o'clock here in South Africa. And my name is Ben Coley, and I'll be with you for the next 45 minutes. And we will take various trips across the continent to our selection of cameras and see what is happening. If you are joining us for the first time, don't forget this is live and interactive. So please do send in questions and comments. And I will attempt to answer anything and everything that comes my way. As it is the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, should I answer any of those questions incorrectly, I will claim that I was trying to be exactly that, an April Fool for you all. But it seems we tried to start at Oldonyo with a giraffe, but looks like the camera was having one or two issues, so we have zoomed over to the hide at Hwangi in Zimbabwe, and we have some zebras. I see April Owl has joined us. Good afternoon, April Owl, or good morning to you from a sunny Connecticut. And you have a blueberry iced tea. That sounds very exciting. I have some water, which is a little less so. But Jean Gale, very good morning to you as well, by the looks of it, near Seattle. And you have got coffee and cinnamon toast. Everybody seems to be really going above and beyond in their culinary decision-making processes for today's Africam show. Casper's third ghost has a hot coffee as well. Beginning to feel left out with my water. The zebras, it seems, have gone for some grass. We are very much seeing a back view, but it looks like we've got 3 females and a male looking at the stripes. So the one, well, closest to us is the male. You can see that very narrow black stripe running vertically from the base of the tail in between the thighs. The others you can see have a much broader black stripe. They will be the females. That is normal. It is a harem structure, so there is normally one dominant stallion and his collection of females whom he looks after. Remember, zebras are not territorial animals. They don't scent mark. They don't defend an area against other members of the group, but they do defend their females. Greetings to Jan Powers as well, also joining us. And to DNC, also with a hot cup of coffee. Lots of coffee on the go today. I expect lots and lots of questions and comments and caffeine-fueled excitement from you all. Sure, if it's just the light, but that one at the back seems to have a very sort of fawn-coloured mane, more so than I would normally expect to see. I wonder what that was. So my camera froze for a minute. It seems to have revealed a baboon, just giving us a little flyby. Interesting as well on these zebras, very little evidence of a shadow stripe between the blacks and the whites. We certainly see a much more prevalent shadow stripe down here in South Africa. And a lot of people say it's just a regional difference, a little bit of genetics, possibly to help them blend in with the more vegetated savanna biome that generally we have in this area of the country. But I have not been to Hwangi, but as far as I know, it is also relatively wooded. The camera would suggest the same as well. So not sure why these are not sporting such an obvious shadow stripe. It makes more sense up in East Africa, where you need less browns because it's just open grassland, where those black and white stripes do certainly assist with creating that dazzle effect for predators. But as much recent discussion has suggested, the most likely reason or benefit of having those stripes is to deal with pesky flies. You can see that tail constantly swishing back and forth, and you often see their skin sort of shivering and shimmering as they try to dislodge those flies that try and land on them. And the latest research seems to suggest, as it has done in the past, but seems to have concreted the fact that the black and the white cause problems for the fly's vision, and makes them less likely to land on the zebras. They say that it sort of messes with their ability to judge distance. So it doesn't put them off so much, but seems the flies struggle to figure out where the correct landing point is, and they have a tendency to either overshoot or fly into the zebra rather than alighting on it, and just makes it a more tricky proposition. They've done various tests with horses wearing, I'm not quite sure what the correct term is, the jackets, the blankets on horses. They've done some white, some black, some stripy, and recorded how things respond to them. Do a quick scan of the horizon, but you can see very sort of what I would consider bushvelty area, beautiful termite mound, but plenty of heavy vegetation in the background. And lots of nice grass for those zebras. You can see plenty of the inflorescence there. The zebras are relatively unpicky when it comes to choosing their grass. They're quite happy with lower quality grass and bigger numbers of it. Their hindgut fermenter digestive system is quite capable of dealing with that poor quality produce. It's one of the first times I've seen the sort of complete vista of Hwangi. Absolutely beautiful area, lovely camera. And what I assume are two hippos in the water doing their impressions of slightly submerged rocks. It sounds like we might have some Inyala down at Tembe Elephant Park in Maputo land. So let's go have a check-in with our antelopes. Here we go, an Inyala ewe hiding in amongst the vegetation. Had a lovely sighting of the Inyala here a few days ago with a big bull who was doing the rounds, checking the reproductive status of all the females and showing off a little bit with his mane standing erect. You can kind of see how the stripes would help camouflage this animal in and amongst some longer vegetation. There's a quick glance. If the head is not moving, and many of these antelopes' defense mechanism is to stay very, very still, those disruptive markings, wonderful job breaking up the outline of the animal. Okay, sorry, one or two gremlins in the system today, so we're going to try our luck at Elephant Pan in Botswana with an elephant. Enjoying a drink from the dam there. You can see the water around it does not look particularly potable. And the shallow water there, a perfect breeding ground for all of that cyanobacteria and or algae, as well as with all the elephants choosing to drink there and no doubt defecating in the water. Leading to excellent conditions for that algae. You can see it all gathering there in the shallows, particularly if the wind has been blowing into this direction, caused everything to gather here. Doing his Captain Morgan pose. We will be keeping a lookout for that poor little elephant we've seen here a few times recently, who has pretty much no trunk whatsoever. I've still never seen an elephant with such a small amount of trunk left. I've no idea what happened to it. I think it was a female, from what I recall, but it was a while ago that I last saw it. But I know it was seen last week and still seems to be in very good condition, still dealing with that problem. I wonder whether it was a snare injury, but it's very, very high up the trunk, even for a snare. Zygote, namaste to you as well, and you are forgiven for being late. I'm sorry you got stuck in traffic, but I'm glad you have made it. You've only missed the first few minutes. And greetings to Bridget McKinney as well. Thank you for joining us. Duri R from Illinois in the USA, saying it's a wonderful morning where you are, and what a wonderful way to start your day. I agree. Beautiful elephant having a drink. He's obviously been for a paddle in the slightly deeper water. You can see from the mark, the tide line on his legs. Interesting, choosing to systematically rest one foot at a time on the top of the little well there. It looks like this one's got an ankle bracelet on. I'm not sure if that's just the light. It seems to be something sort of shining just above the bulge of the foot. Let's hope that's not a broken snare or something. If it was, we would see the elephant sort of fiddling with it a little bit more. And he did do exactly the same with the other foot. So I'm assuming just having a bit of a rest, taking some weight off. They also say, I don't think he's doing it at this point, but often if you see an elephant raise one leg, it may be just making better contact with the ground with the other foot to pick up on those infrasonic seismic vibrations, that messages being sent from between individuals over very, very long distances. All right, let's have a look. What is that? Is that just a little bit of discoloration of the skin? I don't think it's a foreign object, which is good. All of that rather greenish water that he's been standing in. But yes, I just thought it was strange to see something glinting like that. Your first and worst fear is that it was something man-made. Yeah, I do think that is just, say, foam, basically, from the dam that's accumulated. See now when he puts his foot down. Yeah, it's pretty much yeah, see it on the other foot as well. Okay, panic averted. Jack de Boer is saying it's one thirsty elephant. Yeah, absolutely. They often are, these elephants. They don't half make use of water when they find it. A decent sized bull like this, well over 100, maybe 150 liters of water required every day. Might go up to 200 liters in the harsh winter months when it's a lot drier, less water being taken in from the vegetation that it's eating. Of course, just eating really things like the cambium layer and sticks and twigs. Not much succulent grass and nice fruits to be had in the middle of summer. Yeah, I think let's keep moving north and let's head up to Lentor in Kenya. We may have some cheeky monkeys. Lovely vervets. Also get the olive baboons quite regularly at this camera, as well as the plentiful bird life. beautiful contrasting black face and the white surrounds, particularly when they get angry and you sort of see the white above their eyes, almost like makeup drawing attention to them. Very social animals, of course. So eye contact, body language, very, very important. Always think it would be a good animal to come back as a monkey. It's like a good fun life, bounding through the trees, incredible sense of balance, interesting perspective. Do a lot of tree climbing in my younger years. Very proud to say that once, when I was very young, I managed to get from one side of a huge field to the other without touching the ground by going the whole way down the hedge line and the tree line. A lot of holly trees, though, which made life a little bit more uncomfortable. But probably one of my proud moments as a probably single figure child. Positive youngster, this one. Scanning up, down, left, and right. Brew, you're asking if any other animals can hear with their feet over long distances the same way that elephants do. Yes, they can, but I'm going to be hard pushed to give you some examples. But there are quite a few examples of animals that communicate by drumming their feet. Rabbits and hares, gerbils, porcupines are known to do it. But I have no doubt that there are others that are a little bit um, more sensitive, more in the way that elephants are. No idea what sort of distance those ones I've just mentioned can actually travel. I did hear or read something interesting a little earlier today that a shark, sort of wood shark, was also recently recorded producing some clicks, almost sort of like dolphins, whereas we didn't know much about shark communication. If I do think of any others that are well known for it, Karo, I will let you know. But those are the ones that popped into my head: the lagomorphs, gerbils, porcupines. But I have no doubt that there are others. Actually, you could argue that you could sort of potentially include frogs in there as well, because a lot of frog calls are picked up through the front legs of other frogs, and there is a sort of a strange connection between the ear and the joint in the shoulder. It just helps the ear function a little bit more efficiently. MG leopard spots. Do any of these cameras capture oryx or bongos? MG leopard spot. I've never seen a bongo on any of the cameras here. I don't know anything about bongos. I have to say I've never seen one. But oryx, yes, at Old Onyo we get the East African oryx or the Beza oryx. And then see down in Namibia and some of the other cameras, we do pick up the Gemsbok or the Southern African oryx. I'm not quite sure of its specific name. Not regularly, but Oldonyo is the best place probably to get them. Those in Iland as well also arrive occasionally. I've just heard from Kirsten that no, we've got no bongos on our cameras. But I know very little about bongos other than the name, I have to say. It's a good name, though. Giraffe would also be nice. I don't think they would occur at either of our cameras that we have up in Kenya, but that's something else I've never seen, which is quite high on the list of priorities to see a Gerenik. If you're not sure what that is, it's kind of like an impala with an extended neck. So stand on their back feet and feed up to the higher branches. Kerry, you're welcome. I'm glad I was able to answer your question. I feel I may not have answered it to the depth that I would like, but it's a very good question. It's something I'll go and have a read up on this afternoon in preparation for the next time I get to do this. That's one of the reasons why it's always so nice to hear your questions coming in. The natural world is so enormous, and we have so much information available. It's very difficult to know what to read about, or if it doesn't sort of pop up on your nature-based news feeds, yeah, it's difficult to decide to research a particular topic. So I'll definitely have a look at that because I have no doubt that there are more examples. Those, I believe they're called Pacinian corpuscles or corpuscles, are the type of receptor that are found in um, the feet of the elephants, which can pick up these vibrations. And I would be very surprised to hear if they're only developed in the feet of elephants. And you're also commenting on the noise being made by, yes, what I also assume is a goose, very vocal in the background. The youngster skipped right over a bit of a leapfrog over the monkey. You've got me intrigued, Cara. I'm going to see if I can find anything just at very short notice on your question. Very, very noisy goose. Normally with the Egyptian goose, it's the male makes the sort of the hissing noise and the female does more of the quacking. So I think either they are having a really fat argument, uh, or they happen to be very, very close to the camera. Oh, there we go. Very noisy. That's one of the more beautiful bird sounds that we have out here in Africa, I have to say. Because it's very common. Right, Curry, just for the record, a very quick search. And I have to be very careful today because there's all sorts of weird things floating around online with it being April Fool's Day. But elephants definitely, apparently kangaroo rats, very sensitive to ground vibrations, which can help them detect predators like snakes and owls. That's rather similar to the gerbil, which I actually saw a little documentary on them the other day. That's why that popped into my brain. Um, and they tap tap to tell the snake that it's been seen, and then sometimes kick sand on the snake, which was quite amusing. They've also mentioned spiders, which I suppose is not quite exactly what we were saying, but all of those sensory hairs on the legs of spiders can certainly pick up seismic vibrations, be it from the web or through the ground. Alligators and crocodiles apparently do also detect sound through their skin and feet. I did not know that. And moles was also suggested. But I don't think anything by the looks of that, at least to the extent of the elephant in terms of what we believe to be at least distance and complexity of information. You noisy things. Thank you for being quiet momentarily, at least. April Owl, no, we don't have any monkeys in southern Africa or eastern Africa that I'm aware of that have prehensile. They are used really more for just balance, but you're not going to see them wrapping the tail around the branch and swinging on them. MG leopard spots, you were mentioning bongos again, saying they're brown with many white stripes and they look very cool. Yeah, I've seen pictures of them, but never seen one in the flesh or on any of these cameras. I'm just actually now having it's interesting, genus is Tragelaphus. So I'm assuming they're in the Traglaphini tribe, along with kudus and bushbuck and eland, the spiral-horned antelopes. Found in dense forests in central and western Africa, lowland rainforests, montane forest, bamboo thickets. A couple of different species, and mostly nocturnal, apparently. But who knows? Maybe one day one comes wandering past, horribly lost. See a tail hanging down from behind the branch. So in Kenya, there is the opportunity to see what is known as the mountain or the eastern bongo, and it's endemic to Kenya, mainly in the Aberdare Mountains and the Mount Kenya region. But it's a subspecies of the bongo that is critically endangered. So unlikely, I'm afraid, but you never know. For interest's sake, I have to say I'm having a look at the old bit of AI here, but there have been gerenux observed in the vicinity of Old Onyo Lodge. So you never know, maybe one day we will luck out and get a gerenuk at Old Onyo. That would be a very special day. I don't believe one's ever been seen on camera before. One of his Egyptian gooses just decided it's all a bit too much, plop down and enjoy the beach. He's being serenaded. Joshua Drown. What is the relationship between vervet monkeys and baboons? Joshua, I've never seen any real sort of direct interaction between the two of them. You do sometimes see them foraging and feeding close to one another. I have never seen the baboons chasing the vervets, which I'm sure it would be that way around, just based on size and dominance if it came down to it. But I have never noticed or I've never personally witnessed any interaction between the two of them other than just sharing a particularly abundant food source, really. Even in lodge grounds, where of course both of them can become very prevalent, benefiting from the mess that we leave lying around. I still don't recall ever seeing a squabble between the two of them, but I've no doubt that if a vervet monkey picked something up and a baboon was there and wanted it, the baboon would do its absolute best to take it. And I don't think the vervet monkey would put up much of a fight. Possibly you can say speed and agility goes to the vervet, but certainly strength and intimidation lies with the baboon. The bird activity today in the background as well. Although I've noticed that here today as well. We've got quite a productive morning of birding outside the house earlier today. Waxbills and flycatchers and drongos and thrushes. Even had a fish eagle circling above the house and calling away today, which was rather lovely. Peru, yeah, I'm not sure why this goose is being so vocal. I wonder if it's not sort of maybe a bit of maybe he is trying to woo his lady friend there, suggesting there is time and season for another clutch. Rather melancholic call of the emerald spotted wood dove as well in the background. That descending series of notes. Oh, it is a rather sort of sad noise. Yeah, well, since we're looking at some birds, let's go and have a look at some larger birds. Sounds like we've got some marabou stork at Wangi Safari Lodge. We have been seeing quite a few grey. Oh, what was I going to say? We've been seeing quite a few grey-crowned cranes on this camera of late, and there they are with their wonderful headdress, beautiful colours. They've been hanging out here for the last week or so, very, very regularly, a big flock of them. Something I've only ever seen in person in Tanzania. And I spent a year working in Katavi National Park, which was quite the experience. Proper deepest, darkest Africa that was in comparison to working in the lodge environment here in the Lowveld and the Greater Kruger area. Basically lived in a tent for about 6 months. Did 5 months on, 2 months off, 4 months on, I think. But yeah, living in a tent, no running water, no electricity. Quite the experience, but absolutely wonderful. Although I did just by the end of it, I didn't realize just quite how much I missed a tap. Those sorts of experiences really put things into perspective of how fortunate we can be sometimes. But yes, did get to see a couple of cranes whilst driving around that national park. They're amazing place, Katavi National Park. If you don't mind the tsetse flies, that is, but area about half the size of Kruger with 4 tented camps in it. That was it. So very, very remote. But Hwangi in Zim, a place that I have yet to visit. It seems to be time for everybody to have a little bit of a groom here. The incredible feathers on the bottom of or the base of the neck there. Looks like sort of brushes of from an artist. The way that sort of shimmery silvery grey blends in with the darker coat, or the coat, feathers, I should say. But everybody are having a good groom, waterproofing those feathers, making sure they are all in good condition. Very important for a bird of this size that can fly, of course, that going to be expending a lot of energy if they do need to fly. So ensure all those feathers are in peak condition. Very nice to see these again. There's quite a few sightings of these grey-crowned cranes of late. Sounds like we might have another interesting bird at the hide, though. Let's quickly head over there. Ooh, what are you? Yeah, it looks like an Abdim's stork. That's also, I think this is the first time I've seen an Abdim stork on any of these cameras as well. Not something we see in the Lowveld very often either. Normally would be characterized by having more blue around the face, but I'm assuming that is a breeding season thing. Out of breeding season. I have to double check when the breeding season is. I'll see if I can have a quick look for you. But yes, that sort of area around the face goes a much richer, bluer color when the males are showing off. But I honestly couldn't tell you. I know I have seen Abdom stork, um, but I couldn't tell you when or where. It was a very long time ago, the last time I did see one of these. Apparently, the general consensus from those who've been watching this camera for a while today seem to think that this one might have a bit of a sore leg. Apparently, he's been sort of tending to it quite a lot. Be interesting to see if he takes a few steps, whether we notice any limping, or if anyone can see any evidence of an injury. Sure, if it's just favouring it. Storks, like many of these larger birds, do choose to stand on one leg from time to time just to rest and also to limit heat loss. Oh, they've definitely got a limp. Shame, buddy. Zygote, you're also agreeing that it is indeed an abdomen stork. Thank you. What have you done to your leg? Just trying to think what could have caused it. A bit of a crash landing, snake bite. I suppose those are the two most logical things I can think of. Well, I suppose if you are a bird, if you're going to have a problem with either a leg or a wing, rather it be the leg, I would suggest. Yeah, but very much, you can see very much favouring that leg. Important for these ground-dwelling birds, that this bird general diet is going to be arthropods and insects and things, so it does need to wander around in the grass to forage. It's a little uncomfortable. I'm just trying to see if that sort of ankle joint, or it looks like the knee joint, which they always bend backwards, so what we would think of if it looks particularly swollen. I didn't notice anything particularly bad there. He's out in the open. Have a look at his foot. Oh, just definitely doesn't look very comfortable. Doing the high step. Don't see any obvious damage to the toes there, and it's normal to have that bulge at the joint. Doesn't look to be too much bigger than the other one, possibly mildly swollen. The gut says it's something muscular rather than a specific injury. You can see him stretching it out. Maybe he's got cramp. But one thing we do know about these wild animals is they are incredibly resilient, far more resilient than we give them credit for. We are amazed time and time and again when we see animals with horrible injuries that somehow manage to keep them clean, keep them away from bacteria and secondary infection, and are more often than not able to recover from what to you and I would be a fairly horrific situation. Actually looks as if it's moving slightly better than it was earlier. Could have, if it is a muscular thing, possibly had seized up if he was stationary for a while. Also unusual to just see one. They are quite gregarious birds, often in groups, but maybe this one's lagging behind. Oh, shame. What are you putting your feet? Audition for Monty Python's Ministry of Silly Walks. Ah, Zygote is saying there were hundreds here yesterday. Well, that would make sense. Maybe this one has just got a little bit left behind. The rest are out foraging somewhere. I don't see any others in the vicinity. So I assume it was those two who just vocalized. A little bit early, though, to get much activity from them. But things are beginning to cool off a little bit. These things are going to start getting active a little bit earlier in the late afternoons than perhaps they would have done a couple of months ago. Oh wow, I've just noticed the time. It is already pretty much 4:45. So unfortunately, that's about it. But I hope you all enjoyed today's show. Interesting things. We wish that Abden Stork all the best. Wonderful to catch up with the grey-crowned cranes. We hope whatever is going on between those Egyptian geese at Lentore is sorted out. But yeah, very, very nice to see. So thank you everybody for joining us. Do have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. And if you're going to continue watching the cameras, I hope you see some wonderful stuff. And we will catch up with you again very, very soon.